Let's go. Welcome into episode number 1 of the Red Zone Scope Pod. Appreciate y'all tuning in. If you're enjoying the content, feel free to go ahead and drop a like. Comment down below on some topics if you agree with me. Most importantly, feel free to go ahead and subscribe if you're interested in doing so. But nevertheless, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let's jump right on into this. So first and foremost, I think we gotta hit the nail right on the head with point one. This offseason, oh my goodness, you want to talk about team bonding. Man, oh man, I mean, and I'll just preface this. I don't know whether or not this was done last season. I did not see a whole lot of videos from Well Off Media covering kind of the bonding that was going on that is occurring right now between Shedeur and the wide receivers. And I assume the same is going on between the offensive linemen, the defensive linemen, the cornerbacks. I assume everybody's kind of keeping in touch, getting together with each other. But let me tell you, man, watching Well Off Media a couple of days ago, that whole video covering Shedeur Sanders and his wide receivers getting together, throwing some dots and running routes with the fellas. I cannot say this enough. I think that is going to be absolutely tremendous in helping us out this season on the field with our collective understanding of what we've got to be doing. I mean, you've got the young guns out there, the young freshmen getting in the reps, as well as you've got a lot of players that are just very much interacting with each other from a perspective that I don't think we've seen here at Colorado in general, of working together for a collective goal of winning that championship this year. Now, obviously, I think it's very important to go ahead and kind of say, if you haven't seen Well Off Media's video of Shedeur and all of his receivers and select QB going over kind of some routes and playing together and just kind of building that chemistry, I highly recommend you go ahead and do so, because what I'm about to say next kind of builds off that. But when you see those guys go to Coach Prime's house and you see them all hanging out by the pool, in the pool house, and you've got the barber coming in, getting them all haircuts, that's that bonding space where it's like barbershop mentality, where they just kicking it. They're just hanging out with each other, enjoying their time. They just ran routes. They were really building their chemistry on the field, during spring ball. But then you got a lot of players coming in that weren't a part of spring ball, that were at this Texas event. So that really goes ahead and kind of just tells me how committed we are compared to last year in a bigger and better way. And obviously, shout out to the people that were here last year and put in that effort and work. Thank you guys so much for being here. I understand you got to take your next step. You got to take your opportunity and kind of run with it. So definitely don't blame them for doing what they had to do. But, obviously at the end of the day, I wish everybody could be a Buff, but they got to take advantage of what they have offered to them and go make the best of an opportunity. And I wish them nothing but the best. Man, oh man, you gotta watch that video, because these guys are really clicking with each other, really learning from each other, starting that process off early, being able to go ahead and step into a position where they all working together right off the bat. Not necessarily are they competing against each other, but just kind of running routes, learning how Shedeur's throwing, learning how each other runs the routes, getting better together. That's awesome to see, and I don't think we've seen anything like this. Like I said, don't think Bucky really dropped any videos on it last year. That's not to say that it didn't happen, but it's awesome to see the intentional action done by these players to go ahead and get together, work out together. Shedeur taking time to meet with even the young freshmen coming out there, getting in some reps with the boys. But I think it's very important to highlight what we've got coming in, and talking about that team chemistry around that perspective of very much what we saw this last video, well off covering that, that's going to be huge for our team chemistry come summer camp start. And I would love to go ahead and say that we're done in the transfer portal, but I don't think we are. I don't think we are. And that just takes me to my next point of, listen, everybody's going to go ahead and kind of try to beat the crap out of the transfer portal and Coach Prime. And I just got to say this. We're doing it better. We're doing it better. And I'm going to just repeat myself again. Y'all cannot tell me enough that, listen, I know there's Coach Prime haters that are going to be like, wow, why did he go there? But listen, you would love it if Coach Prime was your coach and he was getting in there, switching things up. But you also got to remember, Colorado is not a program like Alabama, Texas, Ole Miss, let alone Texas. You are going to have to transform what is the whole image of Colorado. And you stayed up till 1 o'clock East Coast time to watch CSU and Colorado play. Don't tell me you didn't, because I know you did. I know you did. And you didn't even care what the end of the score was. You just were enticed by the fact that it was good football. It was good, hard-nosed football. Now, obviously, was it Bama versus Auburn and a field goal returned for a touchdown? No. But it was a hard game that came down to the wire. And it was fun to watch. And that was peak providement of entertainment for the nation. And I'm just going to go ahead and kind of say this. The transfer portal is the lifeline of every single team in college sports. Every single team. You know, you get boosters, you get players that want to come play for you. You gain a lot from the transfer portal outside of just a new player. You know, the ability to go ahead and kind of bring in new funding, new approach to growth. You get a lot of media attention just for transferring. And, you know, that I believe is the biggest gain in, you know, why the transfer portal is good, is it allows for schools to go ahead and really reap the benefits of, you know, the publicity that is created by the transfer portal, and let alone the publicity that Coach Prime creates around the transfer portal. You know, ask Chidoze, Block Bully, how many followers he got from just even committing to that school. You know, this is really where things going to come into play, is like the transfer portal is what Coach Prime is utilizing right now to go ahead and kind of just get this program to the level that it needs to be to compete at a high enough level for the championship. Now, is this team the championship caliber team that we will see on the day of championship? I hope so. I absolutely hope so. I would love to see that. But you always got to understand that Colorado has a goal of winning that championship, and the biggest key of success is understanding that the new wave of college football is not just high school recruiting. It's learning these players and learning how to go ahead and play football, and then coming into a place and making an impact. Now, hate to bring up a sore spot, but Cormani McClain is the perfect example of why coaches are leaning more and more on the transfer portal. Now, understandably, I get it. You know, I wish that man nothing but the best. Continue to play hard, man, and go out there and do what you got to do, for sure, man. I wish you that in all good heart, because, you know, it happens. He's a kid. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to go out and do things wrong. But listen, you know, that's really kind of the thing with this, is that Coach Prime doesn't want to make the same mistake twice. You know, and there's a solid argument to be made that what happened with Cormani has happened everywhere in college football. Kids come to college. I can tell you, and I bet you struggled your first year at college. showing up to school on time, turning in things on time, because it's a different environment. And for a player to be transitioning from high school to college, and the adjustment of that weighing on them, with on top of having pretty much a job as a D1 athletics, and that's not to say that no matter what division you're in, it's a job to be an athlete, a student athlete. We'll put student in quotations as much as everybody hates that. That's true. That's the way this is now. But the transfer portal really comes down to being the new wave that, in 2-3 years, you're able to have a successful foundation built off of the transfer portal. And Colorado is going to be getting out of that transfer portal grind here in a little bit and really start to focus on building up that lifeline of recruits. And I think, let's be honest here, I don't think we're very far off from achieving success in the high school level. I mean, like I mentioned before, staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning East Coast time, watching CSU screaming at the television. That was me. And probably was you, less of the screaming, but standing on your feet, hopefully. But that is exactly what 99% of those college students, you had even players from the NFL saying, I stayed up and watched that. That was an amazing game. If they're watching it, you don't think that Deion's recruits aren't watching it? You don't think that 4 games had College Game Day drive to Colorado? A school that went 1-11 beforehand. Imagine this school with 7 wins in a row. Imagine this school with 7 wins to finish the season. A bowl game. Imagine the buzz around campus. Imagine that environment. A player wants to be there. And, as much as I hate to say it, eventually it's going to be Deion and Alabama. And, Nick Saban conversation is not something that I'm touting. I'm not saying Deion and Nick Saban are in the same boat, but I'm just saying eventually you're going to have the same conversation of Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, and Texas. But finally you're going to have Colorado in that mix. You are going to have a big school. You are going to build. Deion's building a program. Deion is building a program. And that all comes with the high school recruiting. That comes with the transfer portal mayhem. It's not going to stop. It's what we're going to continue to see. But that is going to bring me to my final point of where can we expect things to go from here? I hope the offensive linemen that we just brought in, I think we brought in quite a good range of depth, as well as some players that are even going to challenge for some starting positions right off the bat. I really love what we have to offer for a lot of these players, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do on the field for us this season. And I think that's kind of just the biggest point. I hope everybody is getting out there collectively bonding with each other. I mean, I hope all the cornerbacks, I hope all the defensive team players are getting together and really bonding as much as the offensive players are, because, if not, the offense is going to come out way faster than the defense is this summer camp. And that might be a shock, but hey, I'm loving where things are going to be going for this team from the team bonding perspective, and the transfer portal is going to continue to do nothing but add and grow this team filled with players that want to be here and players that are committed to being better. So thank you guys for tuning in. This was episode 1. Feel free to go ahead and hit that like once again. Subscribe if you enjoyed what you heard today, and let me know in the comment section if you thought I did terrible, because that is okay too.